Welcome to A Matter of Perspective with Judge Derwin Webb. I am Derwin Webb, coming to you from the Fraser History Museum. You know, it's always a pleasure to be able to welcome back heroes, people that you always know and respect. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the Reece Gaines. Brother Gaines, welcome to the show today.
Man, thank you for having me.
Man, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for not big-timing me.
No.
You could have been anywhere else, but I'm happy you're here today.
You are a judge. I'm definitely going to be there on time, no doubt about it.
Man, I've been knowing you for a long time. You know, the funny thing is I was looking back and thinking about the show today. I've known you since you were in high school. I actually helped show you around on campus when you were making your college decision. What went into that decision? I remember like it was yesterday, you coming on campus with your parents and going around on campus. What made you think about coming to the University of Louisville?
Honestly, having two great parents and having a father who played the game before, who've heard of Louisville, who knew who Coach Crum was. At that time, we weren't necessarily a national brand at that time, but he remembered the 80s, and he knew that the quality of basketball and the quality of the school that Louisville was, and he kind of pushed me into that decision, and I'm glad he did. Also had the opportunity to play as a freshman. That was big for any freshman, and Coach Crum was a great coach, and he supported me. I mean, I had 0 points and 9 turnovers my first game. So I really think my father trusted Coach Crum, and that's what made me trust my father.
Well, if memory serves me correctly, it was between Louisville and Wisconsin, and you're a Wisconsin guy. How difficult was it for you to leave home to come here?
It was a little bit difficult. I would say we all know who Tony Bennett is now, and Dick Bennett was coaching at the time. Mm-hmm. Great coach, but his style of play was basically, if the score was 28-22, he was good with that. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't fit my style of play. I needed to get up and down and play fast and do all the things Coach Crum wanted to do.
Now, you go on, you talk about scoring 0 points that first game.
Yeah.
But you had a great career. Number 4 all-time leading scorer. Your name is up there. Everybody knows who you are. You walk around town. People know who you are. What were some of your best experiences playing basketball here?
Wow. I guess the cliche thing we'd say is so many, and it's true. I guess the experience kind of how you opened it. I mean, I've known good people for a long time, and I met them here. Playing here kind of sets you up for life because you get all the experiences, ups, downs, the pressure, how hard you have to work. When you're at a program like this, you get the chance to know something that a lot of people don't know, which is excellence. You have to push yourself all the time, and that experience right there in terms of losing the game, going to class, and everyone knows you're on ESPN, and you got to sit there and take it, and it motivates you for the next day to practice. Even huge games. I remember we were unranked. We're playing Cincinnati at home, number 3 in the country. Freedom Hall sold out. Unbelievable upset. Students rushed the floor. Families there. Those things too are great memories that any young basketball player would love to have. So, other cliche stuff, which is real, especially to us, the alumni. Great teammates throughout all my career. Unbelievable coaches. I mean, Coach P, Coach Crum. I mean, Mick Cronin was there. Kevin Willard was there. So I feel really blessed and lucky to have went here. Thank God to my father and for all the people that have blessed me in school in the city. So the whole thing was an awesome experience. I can't just put it in one.
Now, I remember when I was playing, I played with and against some great players. I remember reading an article about Dwayne Wade. And Dwayne Wade was talking about his career, but they asked him about something with college. And he actually specifically mentioned your name as one of the greatest players that he's ever played against, especially at the collegiate level. Are there any players from that era that you played that there was a player that stood out that you got up for when you knew you were about to play that guy?
At the time, for sure, Dwayne Wade. I would say Kenyon Martin, my freshman year, that team was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It was tough, athletic, physical, well-coached. That was an experience going against that guy. And Kenyon Martin was so athletic. I think he's one, and really is Dwayne Wade for me too. I think that's what I remember the most. That those games were classic. It was a challenge mentally, physically, and he never guarded me though. Next time I see him, I'll tell him that. I guarded him. He never guarded me. So it's D Wade for sure.
You know, you had a unique experience playing for 2 Hall of Fame basketball coaches. Coach Crum recruited you. You ended your career under Coach Pitino. Talk about the contrast between Coach Crum and Coach Pitino, what you took away from each coach, and how do you think your game developed under each coach?
That's a good question. I think, one, I'm going to start out, Coach Crum was a great coach. I probably had him when he was getting a little older, but the things that I got from Coach Crum, I actually use him now as a coach. He was great X and O's, and every play he put up worked. And he always remembered which play worked and which didn't, and he wouldn't always use them to the end. We wouldn't always use them right away. He would save it before the end. Something I picked up as a coach now. I think when Coach Pitino came, he was hungry to win. Coming from the NBA spacing, pick and roll style, all fit great. And I think his energy, his motivation, he's one of the best coaches to ever do it. And I think he really inspired me to push myself to a level that I didn't know I had in me. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the biggest thing I got from him is, you know, if you think you got something in the tank, there's always more. And it goes back to the word, you know, excellent. That's what you got to be, you know, playing to school and playing for guys like Coach Crum and Coach Pitino.
Now, you had, obviously you've coached, but you also had a professional career also.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your professional career, how it was being in the NBA and difference between the NBA and playing overseas and things of that nature.
I think NBA experience is great because you live in your dream. And no one really talks about being overseas, but it was a great time. And I would never trade. As much as I would love to be a great NBA player, I wouldn't trade it because I got to live in, France, Italy, Milan, Spain, see a different culture. It kind of, you know, opened my mind to a lot of different experiences that most young men from where I'm from would never have. So it was great. I learned so much as a human being there that I wouldn't trade it. It was, I would say the NBA part, the good part about it was that, I'll tell the story. Jeff Van Gundy would put me in the game like the last 30 seconds of the game. Mm-hmm. At the time, I'm young. I'm thinking he hates me. He don't let me. He never plays me until. But so I didn't handle it maturely. If I would have been mature and handled it, I'd probably still be in the NBA. Not because I was a better player, but I was a good human being off the court and not taking things personal. And I think as a coach, that lesson right there, I could take to the players now. So there's so many lessons from the NBA, from overseas, from dealing with different coaches, different human beings, and from being I've been every player. So that's to tell that story. I've been a player who never got in. I've been the star player. I've been a player that maybe shouldn't have played too much or probably should have been playing over somebody else. So every time I talk to a player, I can come from an authentic place. So mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, those two experiences helped me be a better coach. So I'm glad that it happened the way it did.
Yeah, I'm glad you're talking about that because at some point, whether it's you stop playing in high school, or you stop playing in college, stop playing professionally, you stop playing. What was the transition like going from being a player to getting into coaching? Because once you stop playing, I wish I could still play now. But that transition can be tough for some people. What was the transition like for you, going from player to coach?
Off the court part of coaching was a little difficult. It was natural because I was a point guard. So when you had the ball in your hands a lot and you have been leaders of a team, coaching is a little more natural. I think as a former player, the off the court things in terms of fighting for your intellectual rights, right? People don't think you're, have the.
I'm going to talk to you about that in a second.
Intellectual ability to be a coach, or you never really learned that people compete in the office. I don't know. As former players, like, I don't know what that is. I compete with what I do. I don't know why if you think you got here at 7 and I got there at 7:30, that, I didn't know that was a competition. And all the small things that you learn from being in the office, I think that was probably the biggest struggle for me, is not knowing these subtle rules that you have. I think on the floor, Scotty Davenport, I'm gonna give him a lot of credit. Let me coach, let me grow, let me learn, because as a player, there's certain things you will let go, but as you become a coach, you're like, you know what, touching the line isn't stupid. We need to touch the line. We lost, we're gonna lose a game by 2. We don't want to lose a game by 2 because you didn't make the 3 because your foot was on it. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest adjustment from being a player to coach, and saying, you know what, I gotta maintain this standard because I know what's gonna happen down the road.
So let me say this: not only have you played at all levels, you've actually coached at all levels now. Yeah. What's the greatest lesson you think you've learned in all the 3 levels that you've coached at this point?
Always know what the player is going through, what he's thinking, and try to be as positive as you can with that. That's from an assistant coach's perspective. I think building a relationship with young people, and you always have to make sure you stay connected, make sure you stay supportive. And personally, what I know is your emotions affect how you play. What you do off the court affects how you play. And everything someone you look up to says affects you. It can have a big impact on a young man's life. So when you're talking to him, whether you're coaching anything, before you speak to him, make sure you thought about it all night. These words are important. And that's probably the biggest lesson, is how important these words are from someone in an authority position or someone close to someone they look up to. And I've never took that for granted. Now, as I grow and learn, I know that's important.
Well, how important do you think those relationships are? Because I have coached under a coach, I played under a coach that had kind of not a standoff relationship, but didn't want to have that personal relationship. Make sure that his assistants had those relationships with you. How important are those relationships, in your opinion, for a player's development?
I mean, I say this. So talk about Dwayne Wade. He's kicking my butt at home, and I think Coach Willer, someone was like, "Hey, he's kicking your butt. You need to pick it up." So if we didn't have, Kevin Willard was a guy that we worked out together. He wanted to eat. So I trusted him. And that trust factor, it lasts forever. It's supposed to. And as a young person, we still don't know this is a business yet. So they might not know this is a business yet. This is real to them. So all that family, so that's one thing I do know I don't take for granted. This is real. We may know it's a business later. At the time, you didn't know that how big of a business this is, and how, here today, gone tomorrow, give me the next guy to make sure I'm successful as a coach. And that's the biggest thing is I know and remember what it's like to be them. They think it's real. I want to make it real and authentic, and that's what I love doing what I'm doing.
I remember when I first came back to the University of Louisville as an assistant AD. You're back at the university after playing professionally, after coaching. You're back home at your alma mater. How is it returning home now? What's it like being here? Is it different as a coach now? Is it different being in administration? What's different about being back in Louisville now?
I guess it's different because, like you said, I'm an adult. I know this is a business, and I know. But in the same way, it brings back a lot of great memories. You get to see a lot of great people that you had a relationship with when you were younger. And like I said, the city, the place, the school is in my blood now. I mean, it's in my foundation of how I got through tough times in life is because I went here. So it's definitely special for me to be back, and I feel blessed. There's so many people who would love to be in my position, right. And I'm so excited, and I feel so blessed to have a chance to come back and finally give back whatever I can to the players, the city, the school, the youth, whoever's out there. Please let me know how I can help you. And so I feel really blessed.
So you came in under Coach Mack, and now you're under Coach Payne, obviously. Your role has changed just a little bit. Talk to us about what your role is now with Coach Payne's staff?
Now I'm doing pretty much all basketball. So I'm in the film room now. So I'll probably help out a few coaches in terms of just supporting them in game planning for their scout that week or whoever they have. In terms of making films for the individual players, doing all that. And now they changed the rules where, let's just say, 3 or 4 coaches are gone, I can help out while they're gone too. So it's a good position to be in. So I'm excited.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. It's a new coaching staff.
Yeah.
New regimes come in. Everyone's looking at Coach Payne. Coach Payne's going to bring us back to the promised land, as they say. In your mind, what do you feel success is for this team? Now, of course, everyone wants to see a Final Four. Everyone wants to win the national championship, and that's what the expectation is every time you're at the University of Louisville. What do you define as success for this year's team?
I think this year's team, to be successful, I think we're going to be tough enough and play hard enough to beat some teams we shouldn't beat. So if we do that, and I think we're always going to fight, and we should be in every game and show what we're made of, and kind of show what they're going through now, have it come to fruition on the court, because they're going through, old school stuff, the stuff that we did. So they're working, and I want them to display that this year. I think that's a success for me. Beating some good teams at home and fighting every single game.
Now, you kind of alluded to it at some point when we were talking about coming back and expectations, perceptions. What is it like being a coach now here? The reason why I say that is because I know that there are some perceptions of athletes, who they are and what they're capable of doing and what they're not capable of doing. Talk about that a little bit, because I know I had to deal with that a little bit as a former student athlete.
I think I guess one of the perception is not kind of appreciating how much work it takes to be a student athlete, how much the high level of work it takes, and the experience you get from working so hard. That experience separates you from a lot of other people. I'm sure a lot of people want to hire former athletes, right? That's out there. So, and the other thing is, when you get a chance to be close to the athletes, you kind of can see how much more they are than just a basketball player. And you always want people to see that. And as a coach, you probably do worry about that a little bit more than you did as a player, in terms of how you're viewed and how you're seen in the public or by other other professionals around the city. So you always kind of worry about that to make sure people know they're more than basketball players, for sure.
What are your personal goals for this team? What do you hope to teach players that you come in contact with?
One, what it means to play here for the university, for the school. One, I guess the only thing is it teaches, make sure you accomplish your goals and how we're going to get there. And what I found is the more you put into them, the more habits you make them get, you wind up kind of helping them get there. They won't notice. Like, they probably haven't noticed how much they progressed. They probably haven't noticed how much Kenny and the staff, just their love and how differently they connect with these players now from a player perspective, from a black coach. So they've progressed a lot. They haven't noticed that, and that's kind of what I kind of want to continue to do. Just kind of be around them, love on them, teach them as much as I can, and hopefully they won't even notice that they're at their goals. It's here right in front of you. Just keep on the same line.
We'll talk about goals. What are your personal goals? You've been an assistant coach. Okay, you've been a player. You played in the league. You've coached at a couple different levels. You've been an assistant. What are your plans? What's your future hold? What does the future hold for Reece Gaines?
Oh man, I mean, I think one thing, Coach Payne and staff and being here, I got a new life for wanting to coach. It's something different when you're at your alma mater. It's a different connection. I can't I don't have the words to kind of put it. I wish I was a poet at this moment, because I would definitely shed some tears, or have somebody shed some tears, because it's that special to have a job that's not really a job, a little bit more, it means more. So that's new life. So eventually everybody wants to be a head coach, and if that happens, great. And if I'm stuck here, that's wonderful too. So,
well, let me say this. I know we talked about your celebrity status, how you can walk across the street and people know who you are. You take pictures, you make people's days. How do you want the fans to see you, though? As an athlete or a former athlete, there are perceptions of who we are. How do you want people to see you? How do you want people to know who you are, though?
Wow. You always want to. I guess that's a good one. Man, we got to edit and go back. You got me stuttering on that one. Wow. It's a really, really good one. I definitely want them to see as someone who appreciated the experience here, who's grown as a coach, as a professional, because of the experiences here. The love, the hate too, all that was perfect. The people that supported me. So I definitely want people to see me as a person who's, grown in his career because of his foundation he had at the University of Louisville. So I think that's the best I can do right now, because that was a really good question.
Let me ask you this. I think life is full of what ifs. If you could do it all over again, would you change anything? And if you would change something, what would it be?
No, the only thing that you would probably change is, you don't know how fast it's going to go. You don't know which moments to appreciate. You don't know which moments to forget that don't really matter. But to change anything, no. It all led to this point of me being, I think, a pretty solid coach, able to connect with every player that I'm around and fall in love with the game of basketball and helping young men. So I can't see myself changing one thing other than I should forgot that and I should appreciate that more.
Okay. Well, I know this. I bought season tickets this year. And it's the first time I bought season tickets in a while, because I have a vested interest in you guys. So here's what I need. I need for you to guarantee me that you guys will win the championship this year. Otherwise, you're going to give me my money back, right?
Man, I don't know what championship. Well, we might win the state championship. We're going to try to do that.
All right. Well, we got to win the state championship every year.
We're going to try to win the state championship. I'm going to give you that. That's what we're going for right now. It's first championship, state championship.
All right. I'll take that. I'll take that. Brother Gaines, like I said before, I helped you, showed you around when you were thinking about coming to the university. There were times when, I don't know if you remember this or not, I had to ask you to sub in as my babysitter to watch my two boys when they were young. Matter of fact, I got one getting married this week.
Okay.
So I've been knowing you for a long time. I've known who you are. I've watched your career as a collegiate athlete, watched your career overseas as a professional athlete, and you've just been that kid. That's a man now, obviously, but you've grown. I can appreciate the maturation process you've gone through. And so all the things that you're bringing to these kids at the university now, they are in a better position because of you. So I just want to say thank you for coming back, man. Thank you for being here, because I don't think that the guys can truly appreciate what they have unless you're there to help be exposed to it.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that. I think that's, like I said, that kind of goes back to that. That's why it's so special. So to being back is how we started, and that just gives you so much more energy to do what you do what I do. So.
I appreciate it, man. Well, once again, thanks for coming on the show, man. We're going to wrap this up. And as we like to close the show every week, we say it doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what I say. At the end of the day, it's all a matter of perspective. Man, brother, appreciate you coming on, man.
All right, got you. Yeah.